Welcome back, and this is part 2 of blocking in our values. So now what I'm doing is using a gloss glazing liquid, and I'm applying it directly to my paint while I create my value scale. I don't know, well, so I've had some issues recently with applying gloss glaze directly to my mixed paint. But on the other hand, I do know that cadmium red light dries pretty quickly, so it may help me keep this value scale mixture a little bit longer. But what I have noticed is that by adding the glaze directly to your mixed paints, same thing with the matte medium, it kind of creates like a little bit of a clumping after like an hour. In my personal opinion, after doing a bunch of paintings using this gloss glazing liquid now, I would almost just keep your gloss glazing liquid on the side like it is at the moment, and your mixtures just keep it only paint. And if you need to remix your paint, you're just gonna have to do it. But it's worth it. I think it's worth it because if you remix your paint, it's gonna take you, what, like 5 minutes? And if you start to run into problems with your mixed paint with the glaze, then you run the risk of undoing the work that you've done because you're starting to make a ton of mistakes. So it's really like worth it to just do it right rather than being a little bit lazy about it, I guess. And like I say this, but I need to take my own advice too. Okay, so adding white to your mixture of paint, adding white to paint in general will make your paint more opaque. And I am doing that at the moment on purpose for this one because, like I said before, the underpainting was extremely high contrast. Now by adding in my mixed paint, my my valued mixture with the addition of white and glaze or whatever, by doing that, as you can see, because it's more opaque, it's softening those dark contrasts that we did in the last one. And it's making it already look pretty realistic. Like, look at the left side compared to the right side. And I haven't done very much. I'm just kind of creating my second layer. And I honestly think too that the gloss glazing liquid is just so good at doing this, where it gives you that transparency where anything underneath will still shine through, as long as you don't like put too much white in, or as long as you put enough glaze in. If there's not enough glaze and you're just basically painting acrylic paint, which is like high pigment or high opacity, and it dries really quickly. It's not like oil paint. So the difference with oil paint is that because it does take such a long time to dry and you're adding oils, you could like honestly use the same paint palette for a week if you put it in the freezer. And it means less mixing of paint, but also slower dry time. So for me, you know, it's acrylic now because I have very limited time. All right, let's talk about my paint brushes. So I am using a Filbert brush at the moment, and a Filbert brush is kind of like a flat brush, but it's rounded on the top, and it makes it kind of avoids those harsh lines that a flat brush would give you. And the Filbert brush is nice to kind of pat in your paint rather than dragging it, and patting in just kind of lets you know when you start to run out of paint a little bit more quickly, and helps create more of a realistic flesh tone, in my personal opinion. It's not like a requirement to kind of do my method of patting the paint in a little bit at a time. Everyone has their own style, but for me in particular, it has worked really well for me. And the other benefit of using this kind of Filbert brush, and all this is in your materials list too if you want to know the specific size I'm using at the moment, but the benefit is that it's a little bit wider than a round brush. So a round brush, think of it almost like it comes to a point. It's very thin. It's almost like working with the traditional, like when you see a paintbrush and it comes to a point, that's a round brush, like the ones they always photograph. So it's almost like working with a marker in a way. But because the filbert is wider and flatter and rounded at the top, then you can cover more space by patting things in rather than drawing it in. And that will fill the space in nicely for flesh, at least when we're working this big as well. When you work a lot smaller on your portraits, then you'll probably have to use a round brush to kind of make sure that your details are going exactly where you want them to be. You have more control with a round brush. But for working this big, it's good to find like a brush that will help you fill the space without like having to do like pointillism, basically. Okay, let's see how we're doing. It does look like the gloss glazing liquid is keeping my paint pretty wet though. That's a good thing. I'm going directly over the dark shadows that I created with a lot of glaze and just a tiny bit of paint. And the more we do this throughout the process of this painting, the more those shadows on the wrinkles will start to go away. So just make sure you don't overdo it, because you don't want to lose it completely, but we just want to get it to a point where it looks more natural than creating like harsh lines. Like you don't want your subject to look like there's just a whole bunch of lines all over their face. Really what we want to do is emulate that those wrinkles are being like pushed into a shadow, and the skin around it is coming out into a gradient that goes into a highlight of some sort. Like if you look at his cheeks, on the left hand side it's a lot lighter than on the left hand side. It looks as though on the if we're looking at it on the left, so his right cheek, it looks as though he is more in facing the light there, because I used a higher valued version of this cadmium red light, and then I used a medium value for his right side of the face, his left side of the cheek. So that's like what I was talking about in the last video. The closer you can get to that medium range of your values, the more realistic it's going to be. Plus, we're seeing the work that we did in the last video. All that underpainting is starting to shine through, even though we're adding another layer of glaze on top of it. And we haven't even added any other color yet besides this cadmium red light, well, plus white and black. And look how realistic it looks already. I think one of the things that a lot of modern or contemporary painters issues that they run into is that they want to go like, think of it almost like they're like a printer, where they just kind of fill everything in like you're coloring in a coloring book. This process in particular is the process used by the old masters, really focusing on the power of light. And with a lot of contemporary artists just trying to fill everything in, some of them just get it. Some of them are spot on, and I'm blown away and amazed by it. But if you don't see the way that they see, and I'm not meaning that like if you don't have the talent, but if you don't see the things that they're seeing, then it's going to be very difficult to create a realistic painting that way. I'm not like that. I need help seeing those details. Like I have to think of everything in a process, like steps. And that's how I create realism. But everyone is different. And I think it's also really important to take classes from other artists as well to see how they do it. And you end up eventually just picking and choosing the things that are right for you as an artist. So just because I do it this way doesn't mean that my way is the right way. There is no right way. Although there is a process that a lot of people use, and this is kind of a process that a lot of artists have used in the past because it works. So for me, I like to use it because it kind of means that I'll be spending less time trying to fix my mistakes and more time being able to focus on what the painting is or what I want it to be. What's the message and what do I want to convey to the viewer? Okay, so we are finishing up, And I'm just spraying my glass canvas with some water and using a window scraper to get all that paint off. Must have been sitting there long. And I'm applying a second layer of this clear leveling gel. I'm going to give you a little bit of a tip. I put this on the materials list as optional because I ran into problems with it later. Again, if you want to see more information about the clear leveling gel and the problems I ran into, that would be portrait 4 of this class. Okay, I will see you in the next video.